So, guys, we are live, and this is Piyush Khandelwal, and I welcome you all to your own channel, which is Geeks for Geeks. Just we are about to start this much awaited session. Before starting, I want a small acknowledgement from your side. If you can tell me if I'm clearly audible to you all, just a small acknowledgement from your side, and we would be having our guest of the day who would be discussing about cloud computing, right? And will be resolving all of your queries, which is related to this term, which is a buzz term in the market in IT industry, that is cloud computing, right? We would be discussing resolving all your queries related to this. Yeah, hello Anmol. Meanwhile, you can ask your friends, cousins who have this curiosity, who have this confusion in their mind, right? Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks a lot, Devendra. Thanks, Divya. Thanks, Saurav. Okay, thank you, Apurva. Ask your friends to join fast so that they will also be benefited from this session. We have the guest of the day who is very experienced, like more than 20 years of experience in this domain. Yeah, hi Asta, hi Kushi, hi Abdullah, hey Alok. Guys, ask your friends to join fast. Hello Sandeep, hey Rahul. Yeah, hi Aryan. Okay. Just tell me one thing, right? Before starting, before calling the guest, एक थोड़ा सा check करते हैं, ठीक है? How many of you want to know what is cloud computing, right? How many of you want to know what is cloud computing? कितने लोग interested हैं cloud computing में? Just a check. Please type CC in the chat box if you are interested in cloud computing. Type CC in the chat box if you're interested in cloud computing, right? So that may I figure out how many of you are interested. Yeah, hey Vijender. Hi Syed Mohammed. Hello Varsha. Yes, yes. Type CC in the chat box, everyone. Those who are interested in cloud computing, yeah, getting a good response from everyone, right? That's kind of response we are waiting for. Make this session interactive. Ask your queries, as many queries as you can ask today, right? Don't hesitate to ask your queries because we have the person who has experience of more than 20 years in the domain who will be right there solving all of your queries, like removing all the confusions. This is the response that we love, right? Geeks or geeks, we get this love from the audience, right? Okay, okay. So without wasting much of your time, let me call Mr. Ranga, who is like, let him introduce himself. Okay. Oh, so welcome, Mr. Ranga. How's you?
Hi, Piyush. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we are also quite lucky to have you on this session, and our students, like it's fortunate for our students as well, who will be like enlightened by you in today's session. Thanks a lot for coming.
Same here. I'm really excited to be here. I know a lot of people are actually interested in cloud and DevOps today, and I'm really delighted to have the opportunity to answer all those questions.
So I didn't give your introduction, right? Because I wanted you to introduce to our audience, right? They are much excited to know about who you are and what this in 28 minutes is.
Yeah, sure. See, I've started in 28 minutes almost 6 years back. And before that, already had about 15 years of experience in the industry. And I'll cut the entire story of in 28 minutes short. I would say right now, we are focused on enabling people to learn cloud and DevOps. And the platform we are most popular on are Udemy, right? So if you look at most of the large enterprises, they would want their employees to get cloud certified, like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. They want them to get certified, and that's what we help them to do. So we help a lot of learners get certified on AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. On Udemy, we have about 900,000 learners, right?
Oh,
That's a very, very big milestone for me. I think we reached that
yes.
yesterday. right? So 900,000 learners on Udemy, and probably we will touch 1 million in, let's say, a few months' time. So that would be a
Guys,
great
please
moment.
congratulate Mr. Ranga on this achievement. Right? It's a quite big achievement having 900,000 students, right? 900,000 like learners. It's a very big milestone, right? And
Absolutely.
you don't get it like this way. You work hard for these kind of things, right? And you can imagine like what kind of content has been delivered, which is being loved by such a great audience.
No, I mean, it's actually the number is just a not important thing, right? So for me, what 900,000 really represents is how many people's careers we have influenced, right? It's like we gave content which helps people to learn and thereby change their careers, do really, really well uh, at their job, right? So whenever we talk about learning, right, it's always linked to some achievement in their job, getting an interview, going through an interview, like clearing it,
Right.
or like getting a promotion, or like getting a big rise at their job. So those are the things which really, really delight me, right? It's more like
Okay.
the end result. uh, the number 800,000, 900,000, 1 million, it keeps changing, right? That's not the important number. It's about how many people we are able to help to transform their careers, to start their careers, to take the next step forward in their careers. That's what really delights us. I mean, if we are actually creating so many courses, the reason we do that is to help people learn. I mean, to make them really good at what they are learning.
And I think this is the biggest motivation in education industry, right? When you are in this industry, this is the only thing that motivates you to create better content, help other, like helping others, like improving the life of others, and
Absolutely.
helping them to gain like moving from lower packages to higher packages, right? Upgrading their skill set.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, today I think the reach of internet, the reach of cloud is so far that, I mean, I have a team of 5 people, and with a team of 5 people, we are able to influence hundreds of thousands of people around the world, right? So that's the kind of power that internet and like the like cloud in general has provided us with.
Exactly, right. So you can see that power of cloud. Like this is a biggest demonstration, simplest and biggest demonstration. You can see a team of 5 is managing such a large number of learners as well. Okay, so we like this is always the curiosity, right? But before jumping to the topic, I just want to know, right, why this 28-minute thing is there, right? It is not 60 minutes, why it is not 30 minutes, why
Yeah.
28 minutes specific? That interests me actually as well.
Yeah, it's a funny story, Piyush, right? So it's like I wanted to start in like 5 years back, 6 years back, almost, right? So I wanted to start something, and I wanted to start something in the learning area. And at that time, e-learning was not so popular, right? So YouTube, like having 10,000 subscribers on YouTube was a very, very big thing in those days,
Yes.
and none of the other platforms were there at that particular point in time. And like I had a feeling that e-learning is here to stay. I mean, like the flexibility that e-learning provides you with, none of the other things will give you that. And I, like, during the course of my journey, what I felt was, uh, when I looked at the people who are really, really successful, I felt that they are learning continuously. It's not like, okay,
Ex-
they don't see learning as something which is one time activity. They see it as something which is continuous activity. It's along with the job, along with whatever you're doing, you're always learning. And that's how I was too. So I was like almost learning every day, like almost every day, probably half an hour, 1 hour. I would always be interested in learning something new in addition to the job, right? Actually, it's for me a
yes.
part of the job is not just about doing what you are told, but also learning what's happening in the industry, right? As a IT professional, like a lot of learners here are aiming to be IT professionals, right? And as part of this ever changing industry in IT, whatever is doing well a few years back will not be doing well today, and whatever is the
Exactly.
thing which is doing well today will not be the thing which will be popular tomorrow, I mean, a few
Agree,
years down the
totally
line,
agree.
right? And that's where continuous learning is very, very important. You have to keep learning. And like the way you can continuously learn is by spending half an hour or 1 hour every day to look at what's happening, to learn something new, and thereby you are able to also remember things for a long time. One of the things I see is like if you, let's say, mug up for 3 days, clear a certification, at the end you don't gain anything except a certification paper because you don't remember anything after a month, after a couple of months. The best way to
Right.
learn something new, I feel, is doing half an hour a day or 45 minutes a day. And that's where I kind of thought, okay, my brand should be in 30 minutes because I believe in continuous learning for half an hour every day. I was searching for all the domains, right? So if I want to brand in 30 minutes, I need a in30minutes.com. And unfortunately, I was not able to get the domain, or I was actually not rich enough at that particular point in time to be able to afford a domain name of that kind. So I kind of settled down for in 28 minutes. And now it
Oh.
really helped because it's kinds of very different, and a lot of people actually remember it. Oh, in 28 minutes is something where I can go and learn the cloud. So that's something a lot of people remember very, very well today.
Okay. So the story behind 28 minutes, it's accidentally invented, right?
Exactly. It I meant it to be in 30 minutes, but yeah, it ended up being in 28 minutes. I was able to get the domain name. You need also the social media profiles, right? I need Facebook,
Yes.
Twitter, Instagram. So all the profiles I would need. So yeah, it's a funny story, really. Like it was more like yeah, I just went with whatever I found. And today that's helping us a lot because today it's unique because people remember it for a long time. Once they see it, once they understand the story behind it, they remember it even for a longer time. So yeah, it's really
And
helping us
guys,
brand.
let me tell you, you can go through his channel as well on YouTube channel. In 28 minutes, you can search on internet, right, on YouTube. And if you are looking for those lessons, right, if you want to learn something very fast, you can go through those sessions. I really loved and enjoyed those sessions, right, and they will definitely help you as well. And one important thing is that he has told, that sir has told, is actually regular practice is there, regular learning is should be there. You cannot follow that I would be learning this thing, I would be doing this new thing, or if you are working also, you cannot delay those things till weekends, right? I will do it on Saturdays and Sundays, right? You can take out some time and like try to grasp as small as possible, but do it every day, right? You have to learn something, at least as the smallest part of it, but you have to do it every day. And that is what this in 28 minutes motivates you to do. I
Absolutely.
hope that's the goal actually, sir.
Absolutely, 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 Piyush. It's like it's about. I'm a great believer in habits. I think habits are what defines people, and continuous learning is a
Yes.
habit. And like building habits is tough, right? To be able to learn continuously every day for 1 hour is a very, very tough thing. But if you are able to do that, that's what will help you differentiate yourself from others. Right? If there are 100 people and there is something which is difficult to do and only one or two people are able to do that, that's what will differentiate you, that's what will help you be reach wherever you are. So yeah,
Ex-
being consistent, being able to do things right for the long time is a difficult thing, but if you're able to do that, that's how you would do really, really well.
but most of us are engineers, right, who wait for those last night studies, right?
Yeah, yeah. See,
This
that's
is,
always there, right? That's always there. We'll
yeah.
always, I mean, in spite of what, I mean, we are lazy, right? I mean,
Yes.
by default, if you look at every one of us, like we like to be lazy, right? And it's actually for me, like I feel like if you are able to like dedicate that part of time to learn, uh, then you can be lazy for rest of the period, right? It's like for me, like
Exactly.
if you look at my schedule, like I probably work for five hours a day, and that's the 5 hours I work, and rest of the time I would not work at all. So yeah, it's about like building. So if you look at my schedule, it's like 1 hour in the morning is for all the communication, all the questions I need to answer from learners, because there are a lot of questions which keep coming up. So that's the 1 hour. It's a habit kind of where I only focus on answering questions, I only focus on answering emails, and rest of the day I don't worry about emails. So I like if you send me an email at 8 a.m. in the morning, probably I'll only see it next day at 7 a.m. So it's a habit I built, and that habit helps me today because I don't need to worry about rest of the things for the rest of the day. And like I probably work
Exactly.
three hours on a new course, 1 hour on like updating an existing course, and rest of the day I'm free to do whatever I want. So that helps, like that consistency helps me to focus on things for a short period of time, get it done, and then I can do whatever I want. I can be lazy throughout my day.
There is some saying also, right, in English. I don't remember exactly the words, but it is something like the things that you've said, the things that you have said. I am summarizing that in one line. There is a saying, right? Something like if you the soldiers who shed more sweats during peace have to shed less blood during wars, right? Something like that. So same
Yeah, I
applies
think
there
that
as well.
makes perfect sense, right? Absolutely. So I saw that a lot during my career as well, right? So because I was learning continuously, like whatever used to take, let's say 8 hours or 10 hours for somebody else to do, I was able to do that in 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe like learn something new another hour, and I'm free for a couple of hours more. So it, like, as you keep learning, as you keep ahead of the rest of the people, you would see that it helps you to be, uh, you can stay ahead much faster, and also you can be lazy as well.
Yes.
It's just
So one thing, right? You told that you have, like, I saw it somewhere in your videos as only that you have a very long learning experience, like this programming experience of approximately 20 years, right? How this
absolutely.
journey has been, how you have seen this cloud emerging during this journey.
Absolutely. See, when, like, if you go about 15 years back, hardly anybody talks about the cloud, right? So before that, it was all programming languages, frameworks that are really, really important.
Hmm.
So I, like, my journey was through a lot of languages: Power Builder, Visual Basic, C, C++, Java, then Python, JavaScript, TypeScript. So these are all the languages I played with during these 15 years of my work in the industry. And then the focus was on languages and frameworks as well. So you would be focusing on learning, let's say, Spring Boot or Django, or you would be focusing on learning React, Angular. So those are the things which we focused on at that particular point in time. But now, like, along with programming, right? Programming is very, very important because that's the base, that's the fundamental on which everything else is built on. So if somebody is becoming, if planning to become a cloud engineer or a cloud developer, programming is the base, programming is the fundamental, and that's where my journey was as well. And slowly what happened was cloud and DevOps became really, really popular. 2015, 16, 17, 18, this was the time when all the, like, most of the cloud platforms started becoming really, really popular. All the enterprises started switching towards the cloud, and we also started, like, I mean, I love to stay ahead with the industry, so I also started my, like, learning about AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Docker, Kubernetes. So all the DevOps things, all the cloud things, and that's where my journey went as well. So initially it was languages and frameworks, web applications, REST API, microservices, serverless. Actually, serverless was much later, so with the cloud. And now it's more towards the cloud: AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, like Docker, Kubernetes. These are the things which I, like, kind of work on almost day in, day out these days.
Okay, that's a great journey, right? Going through those multiple tools, multiple frameworks, right? And
Yeah,
this is a part
absolutely.
of, like, when you are a part of IT industry, this is important, right? You have to change, you have to transition, you have to move
Yeah,
from one field to another, right? This
absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, Piyush. I mean, the change is a constant. The only thing, as they say, right? The only thing constant is change.
is the
And that
change.
is more applicable to IT industry
IT
than
industry.
any other thing, right? So, I mean, even if you look at the devices you make use of, right? How many people actually buy a movie ticket today? I mean, yeah. How many people, like, we don't buy movie tickets so often these days because of all the pandemic things. But
Right.
let's take the example of shopping, right? So if you want to order something, today you order it on your mobile, right? Go 3, 4 years back, everything was done on a computer, or you would actually physically go and get something. The world has completely changed, and it has changed because of mobiles, because of the devices, because of the computing power that we have today, like with the flexibility of cloud and everything. uh, we are in a world where everything is changing very, very fast, and I think with the emergence of cloud, the change is only going to get faster. So yeah, it's going to change, and in a changing world, the only way to keep up with it is to keep learning every day.
Yeah, that's fine. That's truly, I truly agree with you. And this is actually true with respect to when you are actually sticking to IT industry. For IT industry, this is absolutely true. Right? So
Absolutely.
Akansha, don't
So
worry, I would
again,
be answering your question. I would be taking your query.
yeah, again,
Okay. So
Piyush,
don't
just to
worry about,
add, a lot
yes.
of people actually think learning is something which is very difficult to do, right? The initial steps are difficult, right? If you're starting with programming, The first steps into programming are difficult. The first programming language is difficult. But once you know first programming language, once you know how to solve problems, you would see that learning next languages are very, very easy. A lot of people think, hey, Ranga has learned so many languages. It's very, very tough. No, my first programming language was tough. When I failed my Pascal exam, that was tough. That was really, really tough. When I learned Pascal, when I sat in library for 3 months, I mean, not literally 3 months, but almost like for 3 months every day, I used to spend 3 hours just to learn programming. That was
Yes.
difficult. I was learning data structures for the first time. That was difficult. But now it's easy because I know the fundamentals. Like the programming is easy, like the data structures were easy. Now I build on it. Like once I learned C, C++, Java was easy to learn, Python was easy to learn, JavaScript was easy to learn. So if I took, like, let's say 100 days, for example, to start learning the basics of programming, uh, to learn Java as an additional language might take only 20 days. And if I want to learn JavaScript after that, it would take only 10 days. So it's
Right.
like the fundamentals are difficult in any place, right? In any area that you get into, especially related to technology, the fundamentals are the most difficult thing. Once you are good at fundamentals, learning everything becomes easier. So yeah, it's very, very important that people understand that. A lot of people think programming is difficult. Yes, programming is difficult to get started, but once you are good at it, it becomes easier. So the, as they say, like we call it like a learning curve. Usually, like if you look at a lot of things, it's like this, right? So you start from here and you get here, but for programming the learning curve is like this.
Like
So
this.
initial curve is
Exactly.
higher, but rest of the things are easier. So yeah, that's something which a lot of technology people, I mean, especially students who are getting into technology, right, they feel it's very, very difficult at the start and they don't put a lot of effort there. If you put a lot of effort at the start, you'd see that rest of the things become easier.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's truly like, again, I agree with this point as well, right? Because starting and taking initiatives is very important. Once you have started into it, once you have those strong fundamentals, you have worked on the basics, then the things becomes very easy, right? So learning one program
Absolutely.
first, your learning first programming language might be difficult, but
Right.
learning other languages after that is going to be easy for you. That's
Absolutely.
answer,
Absolutely.
I think, the Akansha's questions, right?
Yeah,
And
and also, like if you look at generally, Piyush, like if you look
yeah,
at, a lot of people think, okay, which language should I start with? Python or JavaScript or Java? Which cloud should I start with? AWS or Azure or Google Cloud? Uh, I feel that's not the important question. It's about picking one of them. It does not matter which one, right? Java, Python, JavaScript, any of these languages, pick it up, but learn it very, very well. Be a master at it. So learn it to a level where you can explain it to everybody in your class, or you are the best in everybody in your surroundings. And once you do that, once you learn JavaScript really, really well, or Java really, really well, or Python really, really well, you'd see that rest of the languages become much more easier. You'd see that I can easily switch to Python, I can easily switch to JavaScript. The same is the case with the cloud as well. It does not matter which cloud you pick, AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, right? The important thing is to be an expert at it. Once you're an expert at AWS, you will be able to learn the other clouds very easy.
right. Exactly, exactly. So you say that it's not going to be a jack of all trades or master of one. It is going to be master of one and jack of all trades, right? Well said.
Absolutely. 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 So it should be like whenever you are learning something new, right? So if I'm learning programming, for example, right? If I'm jumping from C to C++ to Java to Python without understanding anything in depth, I will not be good. So the first step is to learn it in depth. So if you're building your first web application, if you're building your first REST API, if you're building your first artificial intelligence application, the important thing is to focus on it and be really, really good at it. And once you build one application, you would see that the rest of the applications building is easy. It's only when you jump from one to another, it becomes really, really difficult.
Okay. So, sir, one thing that I have in my mind, right, and most of the students, right, when they are used to take admissions in the colleges, right, so what is happening is they are being offered different specializations, right? They have computer science, normal computer science. They have computer science in machine learning. They have computer science in cyber security. They have computer science in cloud computing. So, first time when they encounter this term is when they are taking admission and they have to decide, right, whether to go with normal computer science where the fees is less, or they should adopt some computer science with some specialization, right? So with some, suppose computer science in cloud computing, so
Right.
which should they adopt, and what things they should keep in their mind while taking this decision?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's a very, very important decision, right, Piyush? Which kind of uh, computer specialization you want to go for? But the problem is, in computers, things change so fast, right?
Yes.
So you are actually trying to predict 4 years ahead what's going to happen later in the industry. So it's a very, very difficult
Yes.
choice. I wouldn't say there is a one answer to it, but the reason why I think cloud computing is very, very important is because if you ask me, right, will I be using Java in 10 years or will I be using Python in 10 years? I might not be sure. If you talk about any other tools like Docker or Kubernetes or any of the other tools which I'm making use of day in, day out, right? Will I be using them in 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. But will I
Right.
be able to? Will I be making use of AWS? Will I be making use of Azure? Will I be able making use of Google Cloud in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? The answer is yes. I'm sure that in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or 25 years, uh, like usually making predictions is very, very difficult. But this is one prediction I'm really happy to make. Like like cloud is here to stay. 20 years or 25 years. Maybe it's not AWS. Maybe some other cloud becomes popular, but the concept of cloud is here to stay, and that's why I think it's very important to learn the cloud. But again, choosing cloud computing at the engineering level itself is not the only way to learn cloud. Even if you choose any other computer science specialization, learning the cloud is not difficult. Like as I constantly say, right, learning cloud is easy, but mastering it is difficult. Getting the
Oh,
experience to build production grade applications is difficult, but getting started learning cloud, getting certifications in the cloud, that's not difficult. Like a lot of people actually think it's very, very difficult to get certified in the cloud, right? So I help people regularly get certified. Like some people actually get certified. For example, Azure Fundamentals is a certification, AZ 900. I have seen people get certified with AZ 900 in a week's time. So if you're good at the fundamentals of computers, if you know how to work around a computer, you can easily you can easily clear the AZ 900 certification or the Azure Fundamentals certification in a week, max 2 weeks, right? Or the basic certification in AWS, you can clear that in 2 to 3 weeks. The basic certification in Google Cloud, like it's called the digital leader, you can clear that in 3 to 4 weeks. So getting started in the cloud is very, very easy, but mastering it, right? Mastering it is to be able to develop production grade applications. That is difficult. That will take time. But initial steps are not difficult. So it is not mandatory that somebody takes up cloud computing specialization directly in engineering itself. I mean, even if somebody took other specializations, even other branches, right? It does not have to be computer science itself. If you have
okay.
little bit of interest in programming, or if you have little bit of interest in writing automation, things like that, you can easily get started with the cloud.
Okay, so if you are from non-computer science branch as well, still you can go for the cloud thing and get those
Absolutely.
certifications that sir is talking about, right?
Absolutely. A lot of these cloud certifications, at least the starter ones, right? So each of the clouds have different levels of certification. You can, let's say, to make it simple, let's call them level one, level two, level three. The
Right.
level one certifications in all the clouds are very, very easy. And it's a big differentiator for students to have them on their resumes, right? So if, let's say, I'm going to a like campus interview or something, and I see somebody who has a Azure certification or a AWS certification or a Google Cloud certification, that shows that they are interested to learn. I mean, that shows that they are in touch with what's happening in the industry. And that's a
Oh,
big differentiator. And these level one certifications are not so difficult. But as you go up the level, so level
hmm.
one certifications will be, let's say, AZ 900 in Azure, or probably the like AWS Cloud Practitioner in AWS, or even the Google Cloud Digital Leader in Google Cloud. So these are level one, and these are easy to clear. 2 to 3 weeks, max 4 weeks should be more than sufficient for somebody who's in touch with a little bit of computer science, right? Level 2 will be tougher, right? If somebody does not know
Yes.
anything, the level 2 certifications will be like at least 1 to 2 months or 3 months, right? And level 3 and level 4 people don't need to worry about right now, right? So they are fundamentally worried about level 1 and level 2 certifications right now.
Agree. So you don't have to worry about, right, when you're taking decision. It is not going to be like if you've chosen the specialization or you have not chosen the specialization, still you have chances to make your career in cloud, right? The chances, the ways are still open for you. You can go for these certifications as told by sir. right? And
Absolutely.
still, if you have any confusion, you can follow the channel, right? Sir's channel is there in 28 minutes. You can go there, you can figure out, right? And you can ask directly also. You can connect with Sir on LinkedIn, right? And you can get your queries resolved then and there instantly. I hope
Absolutely.
that will help you, a lot of students actually, to make decisions, because
Yeah.
most of the confusion is there only when they are starting, they are entering this engineering world. No? So that
Yeah.
confusion come to their mind at the time.
Exactly. But I mean, one important thing is don't just focus on the cloud, right? The fundamentals, if you are a computer science graduate or if you are somebody who wants to be doing programming, learn programming well as well. Don't leave programming and just learn the cloud. Be good
Yes.
at programming and like learn the cloud as well. So learning programming is difficult. The way I say it is learning programming takes years, right? If I want to be good programmer, it's something which takes a long time. However, if I want to know the cloud, if I want to get started with the cloud, get a cloud certification, that's not difficult. That's something you can do in a month, right? So remember that cloud is just an add-on, right? If you're a good programmer, then the way you can use the cloud is completely different. So don't forget about programming, right? Programming is important,
Okay.
and cloud is what helps you to differentiate.
Okay. So programming is very, very important, right? It will build your base, and then only
Yeah,
you will be able to do good into cloud computing, or other specialization that you are going through, right?
exactly.
So,
So you
sir,
don't know to be, like, and to just add on, Piyush, you don't need to be a
yeah,
master at programming, right? Even if you like, let's say you are able to write few small programs, that's more than sufficient to get started with the cloud.
you're right. Sir, one thing is, right, because when we start understanding things now, so there is something, right? We want some examples, right? We want to understand things with examples. So we all have been hearing the definition of cloud. We all have been hearing what is cloud computing, right? But the thing is, if I'm a layman, right, I need to understand what would be the best examples to make a layman understand what is cloud and what is cloud computing. If you can answer that.
Yeah. So usually, if I want a computer, what I do, I buy it. Right. If I need a computer, I go and purchase it. Let's say I want a MacBook, I go and purchase it from Apple Store. Right. That's what we would usually do. I guess we lost Piyush. Probably I'll continue answer this question, like answering the question while Piyush comes back. Right. So okay, Piyush is back.
Sorry, sir. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. I was
Okay.
actually continuing. So if you look at like if I want to buy a computer, usually what I do is I go to a store and buy a computer, right? And that's what enterprises used to do as well. Like enterprises have applications like for example Google or any of the other enterprises. They need computers to run their applications. They also go and they buy computers and have them in their data center. So all like maybe thousands of servers or millions of servers they would have in their data centers, right? That's how things used to work earlier. But now with the cloud, it's not about buying infrastructure. So if let's say a startup today wants to deploy an application, what they would do is not buy a server and then deploy the application there. What they would do is they'll rent a server. So the concept of cloud is instead of buying something and planning ahead of time and getting in infrastructure and putting it with me, it became just in time. So when I need a server, what I would do is I would ask AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, hey, give me a server. And they would give you a server and you can deploy your application and run it there. So that's fundamentally the concept of cloud, right? Instead of buying infrastructure ahead of time, you would start like with renting the infrastructure. And the power of the cloud is, for example, I'm starting a startup today, right? I want to start a startup. Earlier, let's say my requirement is that I would want to set up a server in, let's say, US. I would want to set up a server in Netherlands. I would want to set up a server in India, multiple places around the world, right? If a startup wants to do that, earlier it was very, very difficult. Like I need to set up an infrastructure team in each of the places, maybe spend millions of dollars and then set up the infrastructure. Today, I can go to AWS and say, hey, I want a server here, I want a server here, I want a server here, and I can configure that and I can provision servers in multiple places around the world, right? So today, like you'd see that there is a lot of innovation happening with respect to startups. One of the fundamental reason why all that innovation is happening is because of the cloud. Because with the cloud, I don't need, like, even like a person like me has the same power as a large corporation like Reliance. Earlier, for example, if Reliance wants to create, like if large enterprise wants to create, if a startup wants to create an application which supports million users or 10 million users or billion users, right? It was difficult. But today, with the emergence of cloud, I can, like if I build the application the right way, the infrastructure I don't need to worry about. Infrastructure will be provided by the cloud. So, so that's basically the biggest advantage of going for the cloud.
Right. And you were taking some names, right? You were taking about AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. So,
Right.
like, what are the different companies in the market who are providing this cloud services, right? Are these the one, or we have others as well?
Yeah, these are, see, if you look at the cloud computing thing, right? So I would say it started around 2008 kind of a time frame, right? 14, 15 years was when one of the first cloud computing services came in. Actually, Google Cloud App Engine was one of the first services which was present, but the real one which really got popular was AWS. So if you go back 3 4 years, AWS is the only cloud platform that we would talk about. We would not even talk about Azure or Google Cloud. But with Satya Nadella taking over like Microsoft, and with Thomas Kurian coming into Google Cloud, we see like now Azure and Google Cloud also are becoming really, really popular. So if you talk today, the three most popular cloud platforms are AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Right? You have a few other minor ones as well. Oracle Cloud is there, and you have Alibaba Cloud, but they are not as popular as these three. So if somebody is getting started
Okay.
today, I would say the first things that they can get started is one of these three: AWS or Azure or Google Cloud would be the best bet to start.
Okay. And do they provide some free starting plans as well so that students, at least the students, can start up with?
Absolutely. So if you look at most of our courses as well, right? So what we do is we make use of the free tier, like they call it the free tier. So each of these cloud platforms, AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, they provide you with a free tier. So all that you need is a credit card or a debit card. They would not charge you, but they need it for a future thing. So they would actually like once you create an account with them, give them the right details, you'll be able to create an account, and you'll be able to easily create a free tier account. Thereby you can actually get free access to the cloud. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, each one of them have different rules and regulations around the free tier, but you can get access at from a varied time period, like 30 to 90 days. And some of these services can also be free for a lifetime. So up to a certain limit, some of these services might be free. So if you are planning to get started, like that's the best way. But one thing you should be careful about is when you create a free tier account, make sure that you are following some course who tells you what you can do and what you don't want to do. Like you don't want to make a mistake and get billed a huge amount for it,
Okay.
right? So a lot of things are free. Like for the first few months, a lot of things are free, but be careful. Like it's important to be careful because you give them the credit card and debit card details, and they can bill you for it. And that's where guidance is very, very important. So make sure that you get the right guidance and make use of the free tier, which is provided by all the cloud providers. In addition to that, there are also other platforms which enable you to play with the cloud. So for example, if you are using Google Cloud, right, there is something called Quick Labs. You can go to Quick Labs and you can actually play with something very, very similar to Google Cloud. So there are simulations, or like there are very, very similar things available which also enable you to play with the cloud.
Okay, so one question Dayanand JB one has is like, which cloud is better? So when we're talking about different cloud services, different companies which are providing this, right?
Yeah.
So AWS, GCP, or Azure, which cloud is better?
Yeah. So to answer that question, first of all, let's think of it from two different perspectives, right? One is enterprise. Like, let's say I'm a big company, I'm making a decision on which one to take, AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. That's a completely
Correct.
different decision, right? I don't want to get into that, would be a too complex decision for a lot of us here to think about. The decision which we can focus on is okay, somebody's new, he does not know anything about the cloud, he's trying to choose which one to learn, AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, right?
Okay.
I would say let's say today there are 100 jobs out there, right? There are 100 jobs, cloud jobs out there. What I'm sure about is in 5 years, the number of jobs which will be out there will be minimum 300 or 400 of the entire clouds. Like, uh, AWS, if there are 100 jobs today, Azure, it might, if there are 100 jobs today, and Google Cloud, there are 100 jobs today. Uh, the number of AWS, Azure, Google Cloud jobs might vary. Like it might be 300 AWS jobs, 350 Azure jobs, and 250 Google Cloud jobs. But the important thing for people is the number of jobs in each of these cloud platforms is only going to grow. So today, if there are 100, in 5 years, almost for each of these cloud platforms, there will be at least double or triple or 4 times the number of jobs, right? So we are talking about a huge growth in number of jobs for all the cloud platforms, irrespective of which one, right? So the important thing that you need to think about is which cloud platform you have support for, right? So uh, if you have friends or if you know people who can help you get started with Azure very, very well, get started with Azure. So the important question is not which cloud platform is going to get popular. I think all three will be really, really popular in 5 years, right? They are popular today and they'll be very, very popular in 5 years.
Right.
The important question is what you can learn effectively. Which of these do you have support to learn? If you have a question in AWS, do you have somebody to reach out to? Do you have somebody who can help you with that, right? So that's the important question. It's not about which is going to be popular, because all these three are going to be like really, really good. And I'm very, very confident these three will be number one even in 5 years, right? The maybe number one, two, three, like there might be switches, one become two, two
Right.
becomes three, but the number of jobs as a whole will be there. And the biggest
Yes.
advantage is once you learn one cloud very, very well. Let's say if I learned AWS really well, I spent 2 years on it, I learned AWS really, really well, it is very easy to switch to GCP or Azure. It will not be as hard as learning AWS from scratch, right? So let's say if the effort involved in learning AWS from scratch was 100, the effort to learn Azure and Google Cloud after that would be something like 15 or 20. It will not be the same amount of effort. The effort reduces almost by like 70-80%. It will be very easy to switch to another cloud. But important thing is you need to be an expert. You don't want to learn all three at the same time. That is not going to work out. Select one, focus on it, become a
Mm.
master on it, and then switch to other clouds. And also, the other
Okay.
thing is all enterprises are also going multi-cloud, right? If you look at all the lot of companies I've worked with, they use multiple clouds. So some of these use Google Cloud and Azure, some of these use AWS and Azure, some of these use AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, all three, right? So even companies are making use of multiple clouds, and therefore eventually almost all of us will actually, just like over my career I learned Java, Python, JavaScript. Similar to that, almost every one of us in 10 years will have learned or played with AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud somewhere down the line.
So one smart trick, right? The thing that you have told, you have to add your credit card, so and you need to take care that you don't overcharge, right? So Andrew has one option, right? Andrew is suggesting one thing that can I give them a credit card on a free tire and then cancel the credit card itself so that I don't get overcharged.
Okay.
So that's a good way of doing it, but
Being a
don't try
consumer
it
of
too
the
many
cloud
times, right?
platform, being a consumer of cloud platforms and looking at the kind of facilities they provide me and the ease of life that they brought to me, right? So I know how difficult it was to write applications and deploy them, like before the emergence of cloud. And I know how easy it is today, right? So yeah, I won't recommend doing that. But yeah, I'll leave it to you, Andrew.
Oh. Oh, so tell me one thing, sir. There is something called DevOps as well, right?
Yeah,
So how cloud is different from DevOps, right? What
yeah.
are the two different things or they are related fields?
Yeah. See, a lot of times people are confused. Should I learn DevOps? Should I learn cloud? Right? If you ask me, cloud is very new, but DevOps is nothing new, right? Like there are certain things which we improve on over a period of time in how we build software, right? So probably I think this might be a little in-depth thing for people to understand in this specific forum. You can think of DevOps as trying to automate as many things as possible in your software development lifecycle, right? So a lot of people actually, like during their college, probably would just learn coding, right? You know coding, you know to write programs, but when you go to enterprise, there are a lot of things that are involved in taking an application live, right? So coding is just a part. You want to decide what to build first. That is business analysis, right? Where you decide, okay, what features I would want to build into the application. Then comes your design, architecture, design, development, deployment, operations. If there's a bug, let's say you go to Amazon.com and you try to purchase something and it did not work. We immediately create a bug, and and somebody has to fix the code to make the change, right? So that's all
Right.
called operations, support, and things like that. So when we take applications live, there are a lot of aspects which are present, and DevOps is all about automating as many things as possible, right? So earlier, like writing code, you are automating certain aspects, but to deploy this code, you need a server, right? So you can automate provisioning of that server. That is what is called
Right.
infrastructure as code. You can also automate operations, right? When, let's say, there's a bug, somebody needs to look at the log, try and identify what has caused the problem. You can also automate certain things to help you debug problems faster. So doing this is what is called DevOps, and this is a journey, right? uh, Software process we are doing for 50 years, and we are slowly improving. So earlier we were doing waterfall, then we said agile, now we say DevOps, tomorrow we'll say XYZ. The process how we build software evolves, and that's what is DevOps part of. Like cloud is the infrastructure change. Earlier we used to deploy to like our local servers in our data center. Today we make use of cloud provider, like we deploy to servers somewhere else which are owned by AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. If you are making a choice between cloud and DevOps, I would recommend you to start with the cloud. So start with the cloud. Don't worry about DevOps for enough. Start with the cloud, and then you would see that doing DevOps in the cloud also is very very easy. So if you are trying to learn DevOps on your local machine, it will be difficult. But if you are trying to learn DevOps on, let's say, something like AWS or something like Azure or something like Google Cloud, it's very very easy. So if somebody wants to learn DevOps, I would say first learn cloud and then go to DevOps.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And very good explanation of the this problem. Actually, most of the students generally face this, right? DevOps is also the term that they are listening, and cloud is also the term. And there's something called distributed computing, cloud computing, distributed computing, right? When they get into the third year and final years, then
Right.
they hear this term as well, right?
Right.
So one thing, sir, I would love to ask, right? Because when we are adopting this, so suppose I'm learning Python, I'm learning some language, I'm learning Java, I know what type of projects I have to do, right? If I'm learning React, I'm learning Node.js, I know that what type of project I would be doing some web develop, like web based project, right?
Right.
But when I'm working on these cloud things, I'm working on Docker, Kubernetes, you are talking about these things, like and you're talking about some cloud AWS. So what type of projects I would be building, right? What types of ideas I would be implementing when I'm into
Absolutely.
this field?
Yeah. So the reason why I said cloud is very, very easy is because cloud is just another computer, like just somebody else's computer. It's not your computer directly with you, it's somebody else's computer. So the projects which you do are exactly the same. So let's say you are building a full stack application, right? So you have a backend, you have a front end application. Maybe you have a front end application in React, a back end application maybe in Python or Java, whichever language, Node, right? In cloud, if you want to learn it, the best way is to start, maybe do a entry level certification, and then try and deploy your application to the cloud. So it's just about, instead of deploying the like in a full stack application on your local machine, what you do is you take a cloud database, you would connect to that database, you deploy your full stack application, you do deploy your backend application. So the same application whichever you are running in your local machine, you would run it in the cloud. That's all. There is no new projects that you would need, or anything like that. So
Okay.
instead of so cloud is just a place where you host your applications. A lot of people think
So
cloud is
that's why
some
that's why
magic.
you told, right? That's why you told you need to know programming with cloud computing.
Exactly. You need to know whatever your job is. Like cloud is not a job role. Like cloud is the final place where your application will run. Your job
Right.
role is either programmer or engineer or tester or business analyst or like program manager or project manager. And cloud is an additional skill. So if, let's say, like a lot of people actually today, right? So if they are earning X as a programmer, if they learn cloud, probably they'll be able to earn 2x, 3x. But
Right.
without programming, learning the cloud is not so useful.
Right. I So Michelle has one question, right? She asked about the standard certifications. Like, can you do Azure 900 with very limited programming experience, and how this Azure AZ 900 is going to help students?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. So, one of the things I really believe in is like because cloud is here to stay, everybody should get an exposure to the cloud. And the best way to get exposure to the cloud is one of the entry level cloud certifications, right? As a student, you might not have a lot of programming experience, you might not have a lot of development experience. And that's where platforms provide a lot of entry level certifications. You want to understand what are the terminology which are used in the cloud, what are the different services which are present. So to get the fundamentals of the cloud, uh, and another perspective to look at it is like these certifications like AZ 900, deep like, or even a cloud practitioner, or even the digital leader in Google Cloud. These certifications are all meant for somebody who's not technical at all. So if you look at typical kind of people who do that in the industry, it would be more like salespeople or project managers or testers.
Okay.
So these certifications do not expect any technical. I mean, to do these certifications, you don't need technical knowledge. But once you want to complete the certification, by the end of it, you will get all the knowledge about all the technologies and what are the services which the cloud platform provides. So even if you don't have any programming experience, right? So if you have limited programming experience, you have a good idea about what a computer is, what a programming language is, you have good idea about writing very simple programs. That's more than sufficient for you to get started with AZ 900 or cloud practitioner or digital leader.
Okay. So I think, Michelle, this answers your question, right? And so why you need to do these certifications and what type, like what kind of profile you are, like you are in when this certifications can suit you, right? So
Yeah.
I hope sir has answered this.
Yeah, it's more like
Okay.
actually why you need to do this certification is, I would say, this is a great entry point into the cloud, right? Cloud is
Okay.
becoming so vast that you would need to understand the cloud, right? As a somebody who's part of the IT industry and somebody who's wanting to be building applications or testing them or working with IT in some way or the other, you'll be using the cloud.
Mhm.
And like it's one of the biggest things that's happening in the industry right now, and these entry level certifications are the best way to get started.
Okay. So these could be your starting points, right? You can look into these things if you want to start your career, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, one question, like guys, let us ask our audience also. Guys, we would be about to close this session. If you have your queries, right? So sir has tried to answer many of the queries. We have tried to explain many of the concepts, many of the mysteries behind the cloud, right? From the cloud, right? But still, if you have certain queries, right, you can ask your questions. You can put them in the comment box. We will try to answer them. Okay.
And I see a few
So
questions about data engineering, I mean, data science, AI, and things like that, right? So a lot of people
yes,
actually get confused what to choose. Like, should I go for data science or should I go for AI? Should I go for cloud?
right.
Should I go for certain things, right? So that's a question which is frequently asked to me, right? So if you look at today, right? So let's say I would want to run a machine learning algorithm. What is the best place to run machine learning algorithms today? It's making use of TPUs in Google Cloud, right? So TPUs are specialized hardware in Google Cloud, which is the most efficient way to run machine learning algorithms today, right? What is Google Cloud? A cloud platform. So even though you are a machine learning expert, finally your program is running in the cloud, right? If you're looking at data engineering, right? So data engineering, earlier the most popular framework was Hadoop. Today the most popular framework is Spark. And Spark, there are managed services in each of the cloud platforms. So most of the Spark workloads today run in the cloud. It's using Databricks, right? So Azure has Databricks service. Even in Google Cloud, there is a Spark managed service. AWS has one. So all these data engineering workloads, where are they running? In the cloud. So whether you want to go towards data science, whether you want to go towards machine learning, whether you want to go towards AI or any other thing, right? Finally, there is some program which needs to run, and it would run in the cloud. And that's why cloud is essential. And that's why I'm so excited about the cloud. I mean, I'm so
Right.
excited about the cloud that actually I changed my logo. I mean, 2 years back, we changed our motto to take your first step into cloud and DevOps. Because earlier we was focusing on programming, but as I spent more time with the cloud, I realized I don't know what will be here in a few years, but cloud will be here. And that's where we changed our
Right.
complete motto towards okay, let's focus on helping people get started with the cloud. That's the most important
Ex-
challenge, and that's the place where I think we would have the best returns on the investments we make.
and this is the field, right, where you will not find many of the resources on internet as well. If you look, you won't find such a proper guidance, right, which can help you to explore different opportunities.
Absolutely. And
So
that's where I
okay,
feel
let's make
actually
another
getting
question.
started with, uh, absolutely. Like, Pish, you're talking about resources, right? I think
Yeah.
the best place, and that's why having a focus is very, very important. Right? A lot of people actually like see certifications as a way to focus. If I say, okay, let's say I target, right? So I want to complete Azure Fundamental certification in 3 weeks, right? If you set that target for yourself, that's the
Yes.
way you can achieve it, right? Otherwise you will never achieve it. So typically,
Right.
in these days where there are so many resources, the important thing is for you to focus. So find the one that works for you, set a target, and focus. And that's where we actually provide like a lot of awesome courses, and that's where our AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud courses are helping a lot of people get started with their cloud journeys.
So Andrew has one question, right? Andrew has a question. Doesn't AWS proxy your traffic so they steal your business idea, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Andrew, I think you are getting into really, really fun parts of our job, right? So if you look at
yeah,
an enterprise making use of an AWS, obviously, right, if it's somebody else's computer, we are really worried about encryption. We are really worried about security, right? So those are aspects which we are really, really concerned about. And that's one of the most important choices that people need to worry about when they choose the cloud platform. So, for example, AWS is the same company which Amazon.com or Amazon.in runs on, right? So Amazon.in is a major retail player, and that's the reason why you would see that in retail businesses, none of them host them on AWS. So most of the retail businesses typically choose other cloud platforms. They choose Google Cloud or uh, Azure because they are worried. They are worried if while cloud provides you with all the guarantees, like each of these cloud platforms tell you, okay, we will not look into the data, we will not look into the data, but still,
right.
i mean that fear is always there at the back of our mind, right? Whenever we are making a choice, that's one of the factor that enterprises take into consideration. So maybe if a uh, business is really worried about that, they would not use AWS. They would probably go to some place where retail, uh, like something like Google Cloud or Azure or any other cloud platform, right? So these three things which we are talking about are the popular ones today. In 5 years, there might be another cloud platform which might be popular.
Right. So one question is, right, would you please tell me the future of C++ with cloud and Python with cloud, right? So
Yeah, I think, uh, see, there are jobs for C++, there are jobs for Python. The important question is, are you an expert at C++? Are you in the top 1% of people who know C++? If you are, there are jobs for C++. Python, definitely. Like, again, if you are in the top 1% for Python, if you are really, really good at Python, you have a lot of jobs out there. Typically, this is one of the frequent questions I'm asked in IT, right? Should I go for this language, this cloud, that cloud? If you are an expert on anything, right, the important thing I would focus on is being an expert on something, right? If I am having half knowledge in a lot of places, that does not help. It's very, very important that you are expert in one place and have good knowledge on a lot of other places. So I would say, like, C++, as if you're really good at C++ and C++ is your focus area, become really good at C++, and there are jobs
right.
there. I know of actually a lot of YouTube channels, like a lot of people who created YouTube channels who are working just with C++ for the last 15 years, right? So, like, it's minority, like it's maybe like not as popular as Python, but if you are expert at it, there are jobs for it, right? A lot of
Yes.
people still work with COBOL, right? COBOL is like language of 3 decades back, right? There are a lot of people who are really, really good at COBOL, and they are making their life out of this, right? So
Yes.
it's not the technology which matters, it's how good you are at technology that matters.
Exactly. I agree, right? So, like Ranga, you have answered many of the questions, many of the queries from the users, right? But still, one thing is missing, right? One thing is missing. and which is what matters to an engineering student. Can you guess what it is going to be? What matters to an engineering student?
Having fun.
That they do have, right? They are not worried about it. They do have it. So,
Okay.
like, what
Campus
worries
interviews.
them? Yes, exactly. So, like, one question that everyone wants to know, like, what are the opportunities of cloud engineer for being a cloud engineer in India?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, great question, Piyush. Right. Um, it, the only thing I'm confident about in the technology space, right? In technology space, there are changes are so frequent, right? The language I'm making use of will not be popular tomorrow. The
Right,
Probably the framework which I'm making use of today will not be popular tomorrow, or maybe
right.
today we are building web applications, tomorrow we'll be building mobile or IoT applications or whatever, right? AI or something. But what I am sure will not change is that all these applications, some way or the other, will be running in the cloud, right? So whichever application you build, wherever you build it, in 5 years time, almost 90% of them will be running in the cloud, right? So opportunities are endless. Like if you are getting into the cloud, there is no end to opportunities, because all enterprises are moving towards the cloud. If you go to any startup, just try to like find out what the top 5 startups in India are and ask them where they are deploying their applications to. You will only get one answer: cloud. It might be AWS,
Yes.
Azure, or Google Cloud, but you will get only one answer: cloud. Anybody who's in the industry for 5 or 6 years, go and ask them what they are learning today, they would say cloud. Right? So that's
Right.
how ubiquitous cloud is, and cloud is going to change how we do things. It's not just the IT world, but I think cloud will change a lot of things in respect to day-to-day life as well, right? In terms of the power of AI, the flexibility to do AI, putting things in hands of startups, right? Earlier, a lot of big enterprises are the ones which had power, but today even the startups have that power. Like this power is going to change how we live our lives in the next few years. So yeah, I'm really excited about cloud. And yeah, almost I think if somebody is going to be into a computer science field, I think cloud is mandatory, and the jobs, if you are learning the cloud, are uh, innumerous.
So, like, Ranga sir has ensured you, right? If you have entered this cloud world, then you would be having a job, right? And you would be having opportunities actually. Having the job depends on you, but you would be having the opportunities. These opportunities will not end, and yes, you it depends on you that how, like, how much you can crack, what opportunities you can crack out of it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it was really nice talking to you, sir. मतलब मेरे को it was really interesting, or uh, even my concepts were cleared over cloud, right? I had certain confusions. You cleared those confusions as well, and I hope this would have helped our audience as well. Guys, still you have any queries? I can tell you, right? I can tell you, you can follow Sir on LinkedIn. You can connect with him on his YouTube channel where he's guiding so many users. And you can go to Udemy where his courses are there. You can see the popularity of courses where we have already discussed, right? We have 900,000 students who have already learned from those courses. And at Geeks for Geeks, let me tell you what we have done for you is we have created a series of workshops. We have planned a series of workshops with Sir where we would be discussing more about. Today was just a starting point, right? We would be discussing about AWS. We would be discussing in details about DevOps, right? And what you need to do is you need to register for, if you want to attend those, if you want to get the notifications for this series of workshops, right? You have to register on the course that we have created, uh, and which is at free of cost. We are not charging you anything for this. Just go through the link in the description, uh, register over there. You will get all the notifications when these workshops and the seminars are, like, webinars are going to be scheduled. You will be able to figure that out. And still, like, as sir told you, that we are on cloud, we are on internet, you can connect with us anytime, like, and we have, like, I've told you, different sources where you can connect with us. Sir, any few last words, like, with which you can we can wrap up this session?
Yeah, sure. I think cloud is something which is almost very, very important for everybody to learn. And if you are confused about this cloud, I would recommend just go and do one of the beginner certifications in the cloud. Azure AZ9. I mean, these are very easy to do, like 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you should be able to do it. So if you are confused, take action, right? So choose one of the
Yeah.
cloud platforms, pick one, take action, right? And if you want to stay updated with what's happening in the cloud and DevOps areas, one of the things that we have recently started is we started releasing. I mean, today, one of the things that we don't have a lot of is time, right? So not a lot of people have a lot of time, like
Right.
anything else you have, but time is something which is precious, like especially for students and learners. And that's why we started creating a new series of videos which we called 1 minute videos, and we also have 3 minute videos. So if you want to learn DevOps, like we have a video called DevOps in 3 minutes. If you want to learn, let's say, what is serverless or something of the concepts which are typically used in the cloud, right? You just need to search for serverless in 1 minute on YouTube and you'd be able to land on our videos. So we are creating a lot of 1 minute, 3 minute videos so that somebody who has a lot of questions around cloud, how to get started, which certification to do, what's the best cloud. So we are trying to create 1 minute and 3 minute videos, and we are releasing them one every day. So you can go and check the In 28 Minutes YouTube channel, and that's the best place for you to find out more information on how to get started with the cloud and DevOps as well. And
Okay,
thanks
so
a lot.
guys,
I mean,
we are going to close this session, right? Thanks. Let's big thanks to Ranga sir for coming here and guiding us with his experience, right? Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. Having you is like quite fortunate for our students as well, and I hope we would be connected and we will be having more sessions so that we can help more and more students and resolve their queries a lot, right?
perfect.
So
Yep.
I'm wrapping up this session over here, only closing this session over here. And with last words, just don't waste time, take action, and start with fundamentals. Thank you, everyone.
Glad to be here. Thank you.